Hello and welcome to Community Viewpoint. I'm your host for this segment, Maria Guerra, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Miss LeeAnn Luna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, and thank you so much because every time you're on, you share such wonderful information about such wonderful community resources. So if you have not met or have not seen Miss LeeAnn Luna come on before, she's a program manager for NyECC, which is Nye Communities Coalition. She does all kinds of wonderful, wonderful programs, and we're going to talk about some of those today. Thank you so much. So let's get right into it.
Our first is a collaboration with Cleveland Clinic. It is Saturday, January 28th. We are doing, first half of the day is for providers, anybody who is providing to anybody who may or may not have dementia. So therapists, social workers, nurses, nurse practitioners, physicians' assistants, counselors, and other practitioners will come for a series of presentations where they will learn how to identify cognitive symptoms that may indicate a memory disorder, evaluate a patient with cognitive decline, and to identify care partner and stress communication strategies for the family who are taking care of the person.
I have a question. Would that also be, so if you're watching and you're a caregiver, would that be for like maybe could a personal care assistant attend that, or a social worker or somebody that works in like social services, maybe that does assistance programs? Maybe would that also be appropriate for them?
Okay. Absolutely. Now, family members and people who are interested in evaluating their brain function, that is the second half of the day.
Okay.
So on January 28th, for the second half of the day between 1 and 4, Cleveland Clinic is doing brain health exams and giving strategies for people who want to maintain their brain health, and then identifying those who may be in cognitive decline. So the first half of the day is for professionals, and the second half of the day is for the community.
Okay, I actually want to do that. I want to see like, hey, where's my brain at? And I think that's really interesting. So maybe we'll do a couple of shots, and you can come back when they're doing the next one as well. And then we can,
Well, the next one is, we're not sure how it's going to pan out. We are actually doing a remote area medical in Tonopah.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. When is that?
March 4th. So that weekend.
So you'll be doing them there?
We're not sure how it's developing yet. This is something that is coming together pretty fast.
Okay.
So it really depends on what our square footage is and where we can fit people. Because that area has been so neglected in the medical field, we may allow more doctors and dentists and visions up there in order to do that. But until we get it all evaluated, till we figure out how many physicians,
you need some core services there.
Yeah. So the volunteers are going to dictate whether I can bring Healthy Brains to Tonopah or not.
Okay.
But if I can, I certainly will.
So talking about that, I know that event is the 28th, and then may or may not be at RAM. How about like personal appointments? Like if somebody wants an appointment to do it outside of that time, could they schedule with you?
If you are interested in doing a healthy brain assessment, you can go on healthybrains.com and actually do it there.
Okay, that's cool.
And then if you've got a computer, you can go through each of the sections on healthybrains.com. And behind the section, it gives you tips and tricks on how to maintain your memory and your brain health.
How cool.
So you automatically, if you go on that website, you automatically get a report you can take to your doctor. And a bunch of things that you can try out in your lifestyle that is supposed to maintain your brain health.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So these are not necessary. These gatherings are not necessary, except for the fact that you are going to be in company of Cleveland Clinic themselves. So
that's pretty awesome that they're coming to Pahrump.
They are coming to Pahrump.
And they're doing these special presentations. Like it's really few and far between when we have such clinical information and providers come, to our town. Like usually if there's a conference, you hear about a lot of conferences, but it's something that, we would go, we go somewhere. And most of the time, the closest ones are Vegas. So this is really nice, especially for providers that live here. A lot of providers live in Vegas, but especially for providers that live here, because we do have a lot of workers, nurses, doctors that do live here, and it's nice that you're offering this, because this is, you know, continuing education and vital information.
Yeah,
for them to
I'm
access
very
here.
excited to bring it because the practitioners, and dementia is such a huge problem.
Mhm.
I mean, I think they had estimates that it was just exponentially happening. So this is something that's going to become more and more important. And Cleveland Clinic is developing all sorts of systems for the rurals so that they can
That's awesome.
help us out here too.
That's awesome. Is there, I know we only have about 6-7 minutes, but I wanted to ask a question. Do we have time for?
Sure.
Are they going to address in there like the effects of maybe COVID on the brain health? Is that something that you've got information on?
They can discuss that. I think they would probably discuss that with the providers.
Okay.
I happened to do the RAM right after I had COVID, and they had brought their doctors up with the assessments. And during that time, the doctor did say that COVID does have a detrimental effect on the brain health function, but that it is something that you can work. And the behind Healthy Brains, all those tips and tricks you get, you'll also get tips and tricks to work, like puzzles. And so what puzzles do you work in order to get brain function better?
Okay.
So you'll answer those questions behind healthybrains.com. And that way, because right after I had COVID, they evaluated me. I couldn't think of 15 words that started with F.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. So at that point, I sat down, and so the year I've been working on it.
Basically, like
and I feel better.
It sounds like a lot of brain fatigue.
I don't know. I can't.
That word came to me because you said started with F, and that popped in my head.
There you go. I can't speculate as to the nature of how COVID works in the brain, but it's certainly something that is the doctors are paying attention to.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because they had certainly identified as soon as I started to take the test. They're like, yeah, that's certainly.
Everybody watching this, let's do that as homework right now.
Right,
like
healthybrains.org.
Healthybrains.org.
And then, so let's all do healthybrains.org after we're done watching, and then go get your tips and tricks and take your, once you bring that to the doctor, then the doctor is going to be motivated to go to these things too.
If, say, somebody is a senior or doesn't have access to maybe a printer or other like technology, is that something that they can schedule with you at?
Sure, absolutely.
At NyECC? Okay.
So my number at NyECC, 775-727-9970, extension 204. And I would be happy to walk people through Healthy Brains. Okay. If it becomes something that we've got a lot of people who want it, I may hold classes so that we can have everybody at the same time.
Okay. That's
but
awesome.
Otherwise, yeah, anytime, anybody who's interested. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back into the next one.
The next one,
what do we got now?
I'm very excited. I have worked for years to bring applied suicide intervention skills training to Pahrump, and I finally got a class that's going to go.
I'm so glad that's coming.
Yeah. So this is going to be Wednesday, February 8th, and Thursday, February 9th, from 8 to 5. They're long days, so it's a whole day. We will cater, so you will have lunch at NyECC. And we are bringing trainers up from Vegas, from the Nevada Coalition from Suicide Prevention, and they're coming up to train applied suicide intervention skills.
So it's called ASSIST.
It's called ASSIST for short, but the long version is applied suicide intervention skills, and it is it teaches you how to talk somebody down from suicide. So it's heavy. It's a very heavy class. So if you've got lived experience,
it's understandable. It's a long class.
It's a very long class, and if you've got lived experience and you have come to a point where you think that you could work around suicide, it's a good class to take. If you've got lived experience and you cannot work around suicide, it's something you want to work toward. So you want to build yourself up so that you can take these classes. I teach several classes, but this is the one that's on the calendar right now. So I teach youth and adult mental health first aid, safe talk and assist, and then question, persuade, and refer, which is QPR, which is another class that's endorsed by the military for suicide prevention.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I heard another organization also talking about your training.
Mhm.
They said this was coming up, and so I was real happy that was here. And then what are the dates again on this
It's
one?
on February 8th and February 9th from 8 to 5.
And it's a 2-day class.
It's a 2-day class. So in order to
Wednesday and
get
Thursday.
credit, both CEUs and regular credit with a certificate, you have to take both days fully.
Okay. Would you say that this is designed for like anybody and any, or would this be like for caregivers? Or I mean, I'm thinking, just thinking out loud, I'm thinking like anybody that works like with the public.
Exactly.
Like this would be really good.
Anybody. I mean, I've trained in the other classes. I've trained grocery store clerks.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I'm thinking like grocery
Mhm.
store, casino,
Anybody who deals in general
food
with the
service,
public.
like
Mhm.
yeah.
And then anybody who maybe has circles where they may run into somebody who's at risk for suicide.
Okay.
So,
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
These are heavy classes, and you do such a good job at finding like really important, like comprehensive training that really like we might not have access to
Mhm.
if it wasn't for the wonderful organization of NyECC and the wonderful work of Miss LeeAnn Luna,
Thank you.
who's awesome. And so we're going to talk more about some other classes when you come back. Hint,
Mhm.
hint, that means she's coming back. I always love having her because we get such good information. So let's go. We got about a couple minutes left. So let's go over your contact info and then the dates and everything again.
Okay. So my first contact info is LeeAnn Luna at NyECC. That's .org. That is my email address. My first event is Saturday, January 28th. Cleveland Clinics is coming to do the first half of the day is going to talk to our providers, teach them what dementia is all about, how to assess for it. And the second part of the day is for the general public to come, get their brains evaluated, get some tips and tricks on how to keep your memory alive. And then the second one is applied suicide intervention skills training. And I'd like you to come to this 2-day class to learn how to talk someone down from suicide.
And you know what would be cool? I'm just going to throw it out there because I think we have 1 minute, right, Mike? I want to thank, we're closing out now? Okay. All right. I want to thank Mike from behind the desk. And thank you for joining us. We will be joined again by Miss LeeAnn Luna in the near future. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night.